Welcome everybody to episode number 10 of How to Become a Sales Warrior. I am here with Ty White, my co-host.
How you doing, everybody?
And we have a very special guest today, someone who knew me before I was Eddie Pods and actually helped me become Eddie Pods. So we'll get to that in a little bit. But Ty and I are here to educate a new generation on sales techniques, how to utilize these tips from my book on going to a trade show and gaining more ROI from a trade show, or just learning the lessons that I had to learn over 20 years that maybe we could cut them short, maybe in half, who knows. But if you get this early enough in your career, you won't have to wait 20 years to reach the top of the pile.
Yeah, man, my goal is by 40, man. I should be comfortable already.
There you go, by 40.
That's my goal.
So we're going to go into chapter number 8 today. Chapter number 8 is a fun one. It's low-hanging fruit. So in my world, we never use that term.
Yeah.
Never use that term. Management loves that term. They think of that term as it's your honor to be able to go pluck that low-hanging fruit that is just waiting for you to grab. And in their mind, your job is to find all that low-hanging fruit. The hardest part is determining what is my low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Where am I going to find it?
Yeah.
Where do you find yours?
My original low-hanging fruit seemed to be, when I started, it was contractors and construction debris cleanups, because I found a way to, if you go speak with a company that does demos, their guys don't want to clean up the nonsense after they break it all up.
Right.
So if I can get you guys out of here, pull in my crew, get all of this stuff out of a building in Queens where all the demos up in the 9th floor somewhere, and you got to get this stuff out that way your demo crew can move to the next job. I could stay in there for the next day cleaning it up while you guys are already moved on, instead of you now having your guys turn into cleanup guys. Now they feel like they're not.
I'm not getting paid to do this shit.
Yeah, So that was my low-hanging fruit at first, because it seemed like every job site, I could go up to a site that I seen. I'm like, you guys need cleanups? Yeah. Actually, yeah, we need to get out of here. Could you guys clean all of this up? Hey, here's the key. Let me know when it's done. Here's my credit card number. So that was my original low-hanging fruit.
So last week, I bring up last week because we talked about, knowing your territory, doing some recon. When I got hired by Pods, our guest, he's the guy who pointed me in that direction where the low-hanging fruit was. Thank you, John. You helped build Eddie Pods. The low-hanging fruit was restoration. So he just pointed me and said, go knock on all their doors.
Yeah.
Go in the system. The addresses are all there. Go knock on the doors and introduce yourself. Oh, and by the way, I belong to an organization that has contractors. It's called NARI. And you know what? I don't got time to do this anymore. You want to do it? Those two directions. And the reason they were so valuable was we got hit with a hurricane 9 months after I started. And all that low-hanging fruit steamrolled into bushels of fruit.
So John was your introduction to NARI?
John was going to NARI before I came on board.
It's just so funny how many relationships you've built from there.
Right.
That to this day,
Guests on our show.
Yeah. And that's awesome.
So if you don't know where the low-hanging fruit is, do some research. Talk to other people in the industry. Talk to other people on your staff. Talk to an outside observer like myself who knows vertical after vertical of where to find that fruit. If you said to me, where am I going to find a finance guy? Well, I would find him in a networking group or a law firm. Know someone who runs a law firm because they're usually connected, or a real estate. So, if your staff isn't sure where that low-hanging fruit is, get some advice from someone who can help you find it. That's, really the point. Don't lose out on the low-hanging fruit. But it's not as easy as they make it sound. It's not just standing there waiting for you.
Yeah, it's low-hanging fruit, but, it's not quite a layup, but still it's...
But you saw it firsthand. We'll talk about it a little more in depth about the trade show.
Yeah.
But you saw people come up to my booth. Oh, my God, I got a project coming up in 3 months. Here's my card.
Yes.
Call me. You saw that. Your table was right next to my table. And here's my card. It wasn't even me asking for their card. It was dumb luck, timing, low-hanging fruit.
Somebody came to me at one point at my table and was like, I think you were, talking to somebody else. And they were like, whenever that pods guy gets back, tell him I need a pod from my mom. Give me your information.
So it's so funny you say that. I have the bag of all the stuff that I got, all the business cards. And I'm like, there's a little pods pad with some woman's mom's name and phone number on it. Where? And I'm tossing shit
in my
all over the
handwriting.
place. In your handwriting, I'm tossing shit. Oh, here it is. My God. So it's sitting on my desk.
Nice.
They'll get my attention tomorrow. So the action statement from the book was, ask for help in finding the low-hanging fruit. I like this quote, and that's why I'm going to say it. You plant the seed and wait till it blossoms into fruit. So sometimes that fruit is there, but it's not going to blossom 6-7 months. But you have to plant the seed to start the growth process. Yeah,
absolutely. You gotta those leave behinds like we talked about last week, and just planting that seed, and it's beautiful when it flowers eventually, and you're like, wow,
Yeah, and it's going to happen for me because I have so many of those planted just from last week's trade show.
Yeah.
I was very excited about that. All right, so we're going to jump into networking tips. So you're going to love this. So again, Ty and I had the privilege of being at a trade show at the same show last week, booths right next to each other. Does it hurt to be a big man on campus?
No, not at all. Let me tell you, we were the life of the party. We were the life of the party. And to last week's episode, what was your
Find the secret party.
Find the secret party. Literally, the first lunch that we sit down next to, I want to give a shout out to RJ from Auctioneers America or something like that. But we sat down, we start talking to them, and we all start hitting it off, and you start talking to him about maybe some opportunities that he seemed like he was blowing off a little bit. And then all of a sudden you just kept digging. And that's one thing I had to give you credit for, because his attitude at first, that nonchalant attitude, would have probably made me go, all right, let me go talk to somebody else.
I'm wasting my time here.
But you just kept digging, and as I'm sitting, I'm eating, I'm wondering, I'm like, why does he keep digging? Not 3 minutes into the conversation, he's like, so there's a secret party at Suite 166.
Digging, man. You gotta dig for something.
You gotta dig. You can't just take things at face value and be like, oh, write something off. You never know what's behind that. And you sat there and you just kept digging at them until they all opened up, invited us to the secret party where everyone who was somebody was there. So 3 nights in a row of them opening up the hospitality suite.
That was very nice.
Yeah, it was really nice.
The other thing that, you know what? I wasn't even thinking of us as the big men on campus. We were big men on the boat.
Yeah.
But RJ was the big man on campus.
Yes.
He wore the big cowboy hat. He had the Bono glasses. You knew he was in charge.
Yeah.
You knew he was running everything.
Mm-hmm.
You knew he was involved. He made his presence felt, that this was his show. He's spending money.
Yeah.
And this is all about my company.
Mm-hmm. And he made it clear that he was spending money. Sponsored booze for
the boat. He still had the 3 nights in his suite, but he also paid for all the booze on the boat. That was open tap for 3 hours.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, and I say it here, be yourself, but stay professional. So some of the gals may have gotten a little drunk, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah.
But none of the vendors did.
Yeah.
All the vendors were straight up, had a couple cocktails, playing it smart, don't want to be an embarrassment, and then Ty comes into play. One of the girls pushes Ty towards the band. There was a 2-piece band there. And they want Ty to lead the conga line. And the woman from the band runs over, hands him a tambourine. So what does this guy do? He flips open his phone and does a live Instagram post as we're congaing up 3 floors of the boat, down 3 floors of the boat. He had a trail of 30 women hanging on his every move, wherever he went. And when we came back into the boat, because we couldn't even hear the music. We didn't even know if the song was still going. Had no idea.
We got so far from the dance floor that we couldn't hear the music anymore. Conga line just kept going.
And then when we came back in, oh my God, the applause that this guy got was special. It really was, because he seized the moment. He didn't shrink in the moment. He seized the moment. Yeah. You still be yourself. But you made the connections. You made people like you. You made people, if I have any junk removal jobs or packing jobs, you're my guy.
Yeah.
And that all leads to, be professional, but have fun. If you don't have fun while you're doing it, why do it?
And I didn't expect it to be that much fun. I tell you that. Obviously, you and I, trade shows, we always have fun. That was probably the most fun I've had at a trade show yet.
I usually play that role.
Yeah.
It was 20 years ago, maybe. I'm a little bit older now and a little bit more set back where, I'd rather have my gaggle over here in the corner and not
Mm-hmm.
making, a spectacle of myself. But
The funny part is it was not in my
they
head to do.
pushed you.
It wasn't in my head to do
Literally.
any of that. I was walking on my way back to you
You
from
try-
the bar. I was trying to get through the dance floor. I wasn't trying to get on the dance floor. And then halfway through, they're like, "Hey, where you going?" "No, stay right here." And then next thing you know, you get pulled as well.
So what did you learn overall? What were give me some highlights of what you learned from the trade show? Being with me side by side for 3 days at a show.
Well, back to what I originally was just saying with the keep digging and don't always take things for that, that surface conversation that you guys have. Sometimes people aren't as engaged. I've seen people that started off that show not engaged, but by the third or fourth day, they were.
Yeah, man.
Now's the time to talk to them because
Right.
at first it was like they weren't ready.
They weren't warmed up.
No, they weren't warmed up. So I watched you do that. Just keep digging. Find new people to talk to all the time. Every room, go sit at a different table. Don't be afraid to pull up a chair in the middle of a crowd that's already talking. Sit down and introduce yourself. Say hi to everyone. Every time you pass them, good morning, good afternoon. Make them remember you. That way, the next time you see them, now they're that much more comfortable to come back up to you. And now they might see you at lunch and come sit down next to you. Now you guys start talking, and they're like, "Oh, there's a there there."
Right.
All of a sudden,
All of
you
a sudden,
know,
they remember they might have a need.
They might have
a need. How convenient! You just remembered. So when we went into breakfast on Thursday morning, it almost felt like we were the spotlight at the wedding when the husband and wife walk in. As Ty and I walking in all casual, grab our place, and everyone turned around. And I know they were looking at Ty. It's okay.
Nah.
They were like, there they are. There's the pods guy. There's Ty, the junk guy. And like literally it was like everyone turned to smile at us and we sat down at the table and everyone was like, "Oh, hi guys, how are you?" It was like we made new friends.
Yeah, the funniest part about it was the fact that our company's name is Magic Junk, but I didn't get to speak to everybody, right? So when they're on the mic calling for the Coggan line, they're like, "Yeah, where's Mr. Magic Junk?" and everyone's looking around like, "Are we about to get a show or something?" They're like, no, the junk removal company.
That was funny.
That was pretty funny, man.
That was funny. We enjoyed that. So Ty, what time is it?
It is old-fashioned time, and we know who we're having down here today. You spoiled it already for me. I was supposed to ask you.
I know. It's
but it's John. Go ahead, give him the right introduction.
John Bornmiller. He's a regional vice president for Pods. He's the one who actually had a lot to do with why I got hired. We'll tell some good stories about that when he comes on. Right now, we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back for old-fashioned time. Thank you very much. There we go. Welcome back to episode number 10 of How to Become a Sales Warrior podcast. Co-host Ty.
How you doing, everybody?
Special guest today, John Bornmiller from Pods. We're in old-fashioned time. We're going to toast right now, and Ty's going to tell our guests and our audience why we're doing old-fashioned time.
As you guys know, this is my favorite segment. This drink represents Eddie and I's friendship. First time meeting at a trade show. We sat down and had a good talk over old fashions. And we started doing business together and realized that we have two ways of doing business, one old, one new, and both of them do have their pros and cons, but mostly the pros that we focus on and bring it together to make magic happen. So this week, we're going to talk about the difference between writing personal emails and drafting up your personal templates for your email campaigns and your sales yourself, or using AI technology, right? So I use a lot of AI just to save time. And it gives me like a more polished sound, when you can jot some things down. It might add some verbiage for you just to fill it up, especially if you're doing like corporate stuff or talking to these bigger clients. But what I do see what Eddie does is he writes his stuff personal. And when people see that they're getting that, that conversational type of thing rather than just like a big company, template, right, they respond a little different. But also from a smaller company, when they do see that verbiage and that stuff, they take you a little more serious. When you're with Pods and then they see a personal email, they're already thinking Pods is this huge supercomputer that there's no real person, right? he proves them wrong by being that personal. Like, hey, listen, I know we're this big, but you got me. Me, the small company. When they see me give these proposals with all of this verbiage and have AI, kind of
Very
tighten it
impressive
up,
stuff. Very impressive.
then it's like, oh no, this is a real company. This isn't just this kid in his van or something, So
here's a great antidote. We're gathered around the breakfast table on Mother's Day. I got 4 of my daughters there. I look in the newspaper, I'm reading it, and all of a sudden there's an article from one of the boys from Comac soccer team that wrote to Newsday to write about his mom. And I said, everybody sit down. I want to read this. This kid is, and all the girls knew him. And I read the 2-paragraph thing that he wrote about mom, and I swear to you, as soon as I stopped, 2 of them, AI did that. He didn't write that. He has 0 chance of being able to articulate that.
You would need like a
hilarious.
triple MBA and a doctorate to just be able to just spit that stuff out. But at the same time, we could all, if it would take me all night to make it sound that, intricate, whereas AI will just wrap it up for you real quick. But at the same time, there's a time and a place for both.
I was going to say, you got to pick your poison,
There's a time to be personal, and there's a
if you're
time
putting together a real nice presentation, you want an AI.
Yeah, exactly.
You're doing
He's
an
all
email
over
to
that.
follow
Like, I've
up.
seen his proposals, and I'm like, you make junk like it's a 5-star restaurant. The way you come together with a proposal, like they have to be impressed.
Yeah.
So
That's
it definitely is a tool. It saves time, and it obviously, don't just take the AI and just go with what it gives you. Go in there and tweak it and edit it and make it personal to what you're thinking, because it only knows so much information. It's not going to talk about your thing. You go in there, you edit it, you make it yours. So definitely, Chat GPT, Ask AI. Chat Sonic is another one.
You know what I use? I use Ask Ty.
Yeah, we should make that.
He does it for
we
me.
should do that with an Ask Ty app.
All right, we're gonna jump into big wins or best new connections of the week. I'll let you go first, Ty.
Big wins. Well, my big win was definitely Pratt. I think, but I said last week we locked into 20 containers. I'm going there tomorrow to start with the crew. We'll be there until Friday, and we're locked in to put everything back once they're done with in August with everything. But my real big win was the trade show, man. Best new connections in the people that I met. I feel like if I ever see any of these people anywhere, they're like family.
Hey, you're the magic dunk guy, right?
Yeah. Just being able to be away, being able to stop and see good friends of yours for a while and watch on their 60th wedding anniversary, we didn't even know, and he sang to his wife, and I got to play piano over there and stuff.
Yes.
So it was just every stop we made and everything that we did was meaningful. There wasn't a single part of that trip where we were just like humdrum or something. It's kind of just going by. No, man. Every second we made it meaningful, and we made some great connections. So that's my big win. It doesn't have to always be about money.
No, and for me, my company wanted to know right away, how many leads you got? And I said, well, the flyer, the spreadsheet that I got has 107 people there. I personally connected with about 50. That's a good number of connections. Out of that 50, 5 had an opportunity right away for me. Mm-hmm. 5 had maybes. 5 had call me in 6 months. Some I'll probably never hear from. But to spend 3 days with people, to walk away with 50 possible opportunities, that's huge. That's a huge ROI.
Yeah, absolutely.
As far as where you go from here, Ty, with follow up. Just like everything. Yeah. Don't waste the time there by not following up within a week, by not connecting with them again, with not sending an email or making a call,
Just a nice to meet you email, or thanks for, and I tell you what, I could throw it. And we had a great time on the boat. We did it.
You got a lot of anecdotes.
I have a lot of anecdotes to throw into these emails. So.
What about you, John? Big win?
Before I get into that, you're the master of trade shows and networking. I mean, I've seen him in action. Sure you have. Mm-hmm. I mean, he goes up to everybody, introduces himself, tells them what he does, asks what they do, and prize. You're great at that. You really have a knack for it. Pratt Institute, I had a great connection with Pratt Institute as well. Met Kesha there. We have 20 containers there. Mm-hmm. Also had met some people in our own corporate office. We had a like a meeting with all different departments, and so I got to meet people from different departments, get different insights to the business. So it was good
Anyone
to
in
see the other
particular
side.
you want to shout out that you met?
No, it was just
Okay.
a good bunch of people. It was, you know,
No, I know.
good. I couldn't think of the name right now if I wanted to, but it was an excellent. It was excellent to meet with them.
On our podcast a few weeks ago, right after QLNM, which I spent time with you there, you know, I felt it was the first time in my 12 years with pods that, you know, they included me on
Yeah.
something like that. And I was so glad it was ops dominated. You know, it was like 150 ops guys and one sales guy.
Wow.
But I loved it. I loved it because they were very opening, warming. What can we do to help you kind of guys? Just
You were
like
one
John.
sales guy, but you were with us.
Right.
the
I was,
whole
with, I
time.
was at the Long Island team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. John Bornmiller,
Yes, sir.
Regional Vice President. How long have you been in sales? Because you're still in sales.
Oh my God, my whole career. I mean, from the beginning, it's got to be, 30 years.
Which was the first sales job?
My first,
Not the one that paid the bills, but
yeah,
the first
my
sales
first
job.
sales job isn't even on my resume.
That's why I asked.
You remember the police athletic league tickets?
Yeah, sure.
Walk around the neighborhood and you sell these tickets.
I played for PAL.
I would sell hundreds of those things. I would just be going in, and they just kept asking me. I made great money. That you got paid commission to do those certain amount.
Really?
Yeah, you
How
sold a
old were
certain
you?
amount of. I was like, 15,
Yeah.
something like that. 15 years old. I had my working papers. I was ready to go. And the manager drove you around. They plopped you and three other
Into a
kids.
neighborhood.
Yeah,
Yeah,
into
you
a
went
neighborhood, and you
around.
just marched around and sold the ticket. That was my first sales job.
That's funny because in the book there's a chapter about my first sales job, and it was selling candles
Yeah.
to get on the baseball team.
Yeah, there you
And it
go.
was a 50-50 split. It was a $6 candle.
Yeah,
Well, I didn't make the team, but I sold 200 candles.
yeah,
I made a lot of freaking money
Absolutely.
as a 14-year-old kid in junior high school.
yep.
What do you got,
Yeah,
Ty?
Give me 1 second. Can you share your approach to talent development?
Talent development. Well, everybody has their own strengths, right? It's
Yeah.
kind of sitting back, observing an individual,
Yeah.
and seeing what their strength is, and
Mm-hmm.
then building upon that strength, or giving them a different way to look at a certain situation.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody might be great, a great public speaker, right? But maybe there's a different approach they can take to get that point across to a broader spectrum. So
Mm-hmm.
they might be public speaking to a certain demographic, but you've got so many different varieties of people out there
yeah.
with different interests.
Yeah.
How do you touch each one of them? How do you switch it up? So I mean, even though somebody could be a pro at something, there's always a way to get better at it, and to build your talents, and to go different ways, to just keep going, to grow.
Oh, I see a lot of that with Eddie and me, because at first, thought I was killing it and everything, and Eddie's looking at me like, you got some talent, man, but I could fine tune that, into make you even better than that.
Absolutely.
But you got to be willing to learn and willing to take the critique.
That's the biggest thing. If you can't take constructive criticism
The
from
hell
someone
out
who's
of
trying to help
sales.
you, you're not going to make it, man,
Yeah.
because you got to have tough skin to be in sales to begin
Sales
with.
matter-
is one big rejection
That's it.
anyway.
And it's no matter how it sounds.
Yeah.
Everybody wants it to be laid on the pillow. They want you to put a nice note on the pillow before you tell them,
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Ooh, go to the pillow. I like that.
Yeah.
That's good.
You know,
That's good.
Man,
The
rip
younger
the Band-Aid off. Like,
generation-
hey, dude, that sucked. Do it over.
The younger generation doesn't realize it takes a good 50 no's to get a really good yes.
Yeah.
And that really good yes, one yes develops into several other yeses. And it doesn't happen overnight. They come in when they come in, but
You're one step closer to
Rejection's
that.
part
Yes,
of it.
every no is one step closer.
Yeah. So, out of all your sales jobs, which was your favorite? Which did you have the most fun at?
believe it or not,
Go ahead.
I was a regional director for Janiking.
Janik.
And we were the franchisor. So I was basically the main office. I sold franchises. I sold contracts for that company. And I had a whole team underneath me, of course.
Right.
But selling the franchises to somebody, getting them involved in their own business, showing them what the program was, giving them an opportunity to be their own boss. I think that was probably my favorite sales job, because they'd walk out owning a business, and then I would help them with their business case. We had an ops team that showed them how to do it, and we kind of walked them through. We got them their first contracts.
Stupid proof.
Yeah, I mean, we sold you the franchise. We then sold contracts and offered them to you based on the type of plan you bought. So it was a turnkey operation. Once you learned how to clean, you were out and about, and you had a whole office behind you making everything
Making
happen.
it easy.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, can you give me a pod's crisis that you had to, something that went wrong, just a significant operational crisis that you had to, like a fire you had to put out?
Well, Sandy was a beast.
Sandy was a beast.
Eddie was part of that. We
Yeah.
were working 18, 19-hour days just trying to keep up. We ran out of containers. We had to have them shipped in from other areas, and they weren't even
Foldable.
built. They were folded containers. And these containers came to us, like people were dragging them out of their back lots. I mean, these were not containers that were being used.
Yeah.
So we had to, erect them, clean them, power wash them, disinfect them. As they were drying, drivers were driving them out to customers. And I literally had to pull, the drivers wanted to take care of the customers so much that I literally had to pull them off of the road because they couldn't go. It was a state of emergency. DOT regulations were out and they just wanted to keep going. And I was like, you're done. Let's go.
Still remember a night where Sean Fox went down to Lindenhurst with a container, got stopped by the U.S. Army Corps.
Yeah.
And they said, you can't go in there. And he talked his way into it to go drop that container off. The magic of Sean was amazing. But what John's actually talking about really defines his character and his leadership. I'm a sales guy. Yeah, well, I all of a sudden became procurement. I had to hire help. I had to buy tools. I had to make sure the staff was fed, the hirees were fed. I had to make sure. He taught me to be part of a team. He taught me how to step up when shit's going wrong and to be a team player. And he's not wrong about the 18-hour days because that went on for about 7 or 8 weeks until we literally ran out of I think it was 2,500 containers constructed and built. And we actually moved from one facility in Suffolk to a facility in Nassau because we were trying to get it closer to where the worst floods were. We were kind of a little far away, so we moved the whole operation. But it was my first time running a big project like that and being able to step up and, yeah, John, I got all the nuts and bolts. Yeah, John, we got 7 laborers showing up later today. Oh, by the way, lunch at 11:30. Handling all these tasks that maybe somebody else might think were menial or unimportant. I took it on as, I got to get this shit done for the team. Team.
Yeah. Not only that, you had a list of people that wanted containers the size of,
And the joy of all that was I got every single sale, residential, commercial, out of the office because of him. He turned off the calendar in Florida and said, this is way beyond the scope of things. We're going to keep track of how many we got, and Eddie will call you with whoever we're giving them to as we build them. And it was 10 at a time.
That sounds like a nightmare.
It wasn't, though.
You know what? It was, but when we came out of that, there wasn't a team, I don't think, on the planet stronger than this team.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody had each other's back. High five and you name it. I mean,
I'm sure you guys made a decent amount of money, too.
a little.
I love it when they both make the same noise.
We'll leave it there.
We did, but we helped a lot of people, though.
Yeah.
That was
that's what it's really about. Listen, the money's a byproduct of it. You
it.
guys were helping and getting stuff done in a time where the country was that was nuts.
So last week we had my daughter here, the real personal one who was not afraid to give her opinion on things. But, I saw your son the other night. Do either one of your kids have your sales gene?
No. My son could if he wanted. My daughter wants nothing to do with it. She's in sales now, and she's like, this isn't really what I want to do. She could too. I mean, but the way she talks to me, she sells me every day. So
that's daddy selling. That's a little different.
I mean, they definitely could if they wanted to, but they don't have the interest. My daughter, she graduated from Fordham, and she's got a communications degree. It could open her up to sales, but she's really she's more on the creative end of things. And even, she could be a writer if she wanted to. She could write a novel, like nobody's business.
So no genes there.
No.
So I have the daughter that could, but she wants nothing to do with it.
Same.
She's an intellect with her MBA, Nikki, I know.
It's the same thing.
Oh, and she's in the engineer world where figuring out how machines automate, and that is her jam. Like she wants to know about why the machine lifts up and pulls out at the same. I'm like, too boring. I'm not interested.
Yeah.
So I got no sales, and my son is, but he's 25 years old and he's just not there yet.
Yeah.
You know, it's
It
20.
takes
How old is your
time.
son? 22.
He's 21.
21.
He just turned
So
21.
he's 25. He's
My
not
daughter's
there.
23. She could do it, but
I think with sales also, everybody, anyone who knows how to speak to people well can do sales. The thing about it is once you get to a point in your life where I feel like the gun's got to be a little bit to your head for you to like stick it through and give it your all. If you're kind of, I was in sales in my early 20s. I wasn't taking it serious, even I was great.
You're how old?
I'm 34.
You're 34. So you were right before that. I think that you don't have as many salespeople today because of social media. They don't get out anymore. They're not going out and meeting their friends. They're not having conversation. They're doing it all on the computer. How do you learn how to interact
You don't.
with people and sell face to face if everything's done through a text?
No, you can't, because then you go into a room full of people and you're like,
So I
you
mean,
can't text them
if you can get people involved in it and get them good, they got a good career, because this career, sales, is something that's going to be tough to fill in the future.
I
in
always
the near
knew
future.
I was going to be in sales. I knew I was good at it from a young age. It's just I didn't take it serious because it's like I could do other things, but I'm still going to eat if I don't sell. I'm still going to, now it's like, dude, you got
You
bills to
ain't
pay.
eating.
I got a 6-year-old son now. It's like, yo, get to it.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
So when I met you, you were market manager,
Yeah,
and now you're a regional vice president.
right.
How'd you get there?
A lot of help from a lot of good people.
Can we give Brett a shout out?
Yeah, I mean, I learned from some of the best guys. I mean, I worked with I got, guys like Brett, guys like David Morgan, guys like, really good people. George Easley. Now I've got Rich Schwartz, who's just one of the smartest dudes I ever met. You can't do it alone. You got to surround yourself with some really good people. You've got to be able to take that constructive criticism, like you spoke about. Some of these mentors, Dave Morgan sat me and said, "Hey, dude, you're not going to you got to fix this." I'm like, "Oh, okay, really?" And I took it to heart, and I listened to him, and I changed a lot of things about what I was doing, and about you got to be aware of the perception others have of you.
Yeah.
And that's a tough thing for
That's
a sales
very
guy
tough.
to do.
That's very
A,
tough.
personalities sometimes don't even care what other people think of.
Very
So
true.
you've got to really reel it back and look at what everybody else sees. And I always worked hard. It was never about working harder. I always had great work ethic. That never
Right.
stopped
It's
me.
more of the personality
It
and
was
how you handle
more
things.
of It was more of your CEO looking at you saying, "Can I trust this man with $100 million worth of business? Can I trust him?"
yeah.
And if you're the guy out there making jokes and laughing all the time, and the last one, you're not going to get chosen. So
I want to just add to it. So I was at QL&M about a month and a half ago, and I had the pleasure of sitting with John and his team because I was the only sales guy in the room. But I told him afterwards I was super proud to be there and be on his team for the meetings, because I was in 4 different groups with 4 different leaders, and this man's name came up 4 different times for 4 different reasons, all good. All good reasons for projects he started or things that he did, initiatives that he started, just being that guy from Long Island who stands up. He's not trying to outshine anyone. He's not trying to stand above anyone. He's just trying to be his best. And if his best makes him better than or look better than everybody else, so be it. But I was proud to hear that you, because you're my pod's mentor, and to see you get recognition and myself getting recognition while I was down there for my team, you start to realize I've made a little bit of a difference.
you certainly did. I mean, I said that you said that to me, and I said it right back at you. I said,
you
"Hey,
did.
Eddie, I'm glad we're proud of each other because you're killing it. You're the top of your field right now in the company. You're the number one guy, and they're always looking for you to do more."
Always.
And you and I we've been together. We've known each
For
other
almost
how many
13 years.
13 years. And we've developed a really good professional relationship as well as a friendship. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome, man.
What do you got, Ty?
So, what makes your men follow up?
My men
Follow
up.
your style.
Yeah, I mean, I think that to get to a certain level in pods, you've got to have that something that drives you a little more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? These ops guys, they're up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
They're talking to their teams. They're making sure everybody's rolling. They really care about the customer. They want to make sure we're on time. They're getting a clean container, that our guys are safe. So, I mean, we've set up a really good set of metrics for our teams to follow, where if they hit these metrics, they're doing a good job and they're going to be successful. And our guys strive to hit those. It's a lot of positive reinforcement. And it's a lot of tough discussions when it's not going the right way, finding out, looking at each other, saying, look, let's be real. We're not where we need to be. What do we have to do? I'm very lucky to have a very good seasoned team. They want to do well. They all want to improve and move up. Nobody's above that constructive criticism. No. They take it in stride. And they all want to look good. They want to be recognized for what they do. And I make sure I recognize every one of them every chance I get.
And there's a lot of layers from you to the drivers, right? And operations,
It's
between
like
the
3.
Yeah, 3. You've got myself. You have a TM who's the territory manager. You have a market manager who manages a certain market within that territory. And then you have the driver.
Who's Terry?
Terry's a market manager.
Market manager. I love Terry.
Everybody loves Terry.
He is.
He's a sick fuck, but he's great.
Terry's a great example of that can-do attitude that my guys have.
Yeah.
If you
No
ask
problem.
Terry to do something,
He
knows him.
Yeah,
he will do
problem.
it.
No
and
problem.
Terry, you could talk to Terry, be like, "Wow, you're a lot," but he gets it done, man.
It's fun. It's a pleasant. Every time I go to Jamaica, Tuckerton, as soon as I get there, he's got a joke for me. You know Terry.
He's a good
He calls me on a Sunday. Yo, man, I'm really sorry to bother you, but I don't really give a fuck. I need your help.
That's Terry.
And he knows I will always pick up for him.
Yeah,
I will always pick up for him or text him, whatever it is.
Yeah, I've got a Terry story. Okay, so when he was a driver, I promoted him to the market manager. But when he was a driver, one of the things that told me what this guy was about was he got a ticket, a DOT ticket, and he felt terrible about it. It was an expensive ticket. I don't remember what he did, but it was like $1,000 fine. He came into my office all distressed. I'm like, Terry, what's the matter? He goes, can I sit down? Well, yeah, sit down. He goes, well, I go, what's the matter? He goes, look, I know I got that violation. It was completely my fault. I should have known about it. Here. And he took out a personal check for $1,000 and he handed it to me. And he goes, I want to pay for that ticket.
Wow.
I'm like, Terry, listen to me. Put your money away. He goes, no, I can't sleep at night. You got to take this check. I'm like, I'm not taking the check. Thank you for even giving it. But look, you have a company behind you. It was a mistake. I get it. But from that day on, I knew that's a man of integrity and I could trust him with anything.
Loyalty, man. Yeah.
It was awesome.
Hard to find.
It is hard to find. So you told the Terry story. Do you have an Eddie Pod story?
Oh my God, do I have Eddie Pod stories? Which one should I tell?
Clean ones.
A clean one. All right, so one of the best Eddie Pod stories. Here we go. I'm in my office one day. He comes in. He goes, hey, John, you ever hear about this Hercules Trophy thing? Like, Hercules Trophy? What's that? He goes, here. And he shows me this pamphlet. It's everybody, you get a bunch of guys from your company together, guys and gals, and you compete. And whoever wins gets the Hercules Trophy. And you had to go through things like obstacle courses and
What was
you had
that
to
game? Petanque?
Yeah, petanque. We did good at the
We
petanque.
did do good.
I didn't do so good at the obstacle course.
Obstacle course, no.
What about that thing, the basket? You had to carry the other teammate in there.
In the
Yeah,
wheelbarrow?
wheelbarrow.
God.
It was so many crazy things. But we all went in there, and we stayed there all day. And the other guys got tired, but Eddie and I stayed at night, went upstairs, and Mr. Network, walking around, talking to everybody. Ooh, wait, what do you do? Where are you from? We're having a couple of drinks. But after that, we were a tight-knit team for the 6 guys that were there.
And the ironic part is Hurricane Hands hit 3 weeks later.
That's it.
And we were like this team back out. The leaders stepped up as leaders. The leaders led their men. The men led their lead. And it was like, I credit it to that event molding us, giving us the opportunity to really be a team.
Yeah, we had a
where
lot of
nobody
fun.
could see it. Nobody from Pod's world could see
Nope.
how great you are, but we as a
Yeah.
team could see how fucking great we are.
Yeah.
And it was a great experience. Plus, we had Pod's containers there that we bartered for the opportunity. People pay to be in this thing,
Yeah.
and we were able
And
to
you
barter.
made some good connections that
Oh
night.
hell yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Who was your favorite Pods customer?
Times Square Alliance.
Dan,
Gary?
yeah, Gary.
Gary's my boy. Yeah,
I took John,
he's one of my faves.
my senior VP, my director of sales, and my boss Jamil. We all went to have lunch with Gary last week.
Yeah, it was fun. It was good to see him.
I could tell by anytime Gary calls, man, it's like the world stops.
Fuck yeah.
Get Gary his stuff, man.
He's
Whatever
a
he
good,
needs, whatever. Because
he's a good guy, man. He
It's
really
so funny
is.
too. 'Cause
But he's the first one to say, right? He said it at lunch. He goes, "You guys made my job easier. You made my life easier. Thank you for what you do."
him for giving approval for anything he needs, Cliff for acknowledging to me whatever you need, and me whatever I got to do on the ground level, like we're going to do in 2 weeks for the yoga festival, making sure you're there, loading the containers, locked up, mail them the keys. It's a one-stop shop with Gary, and again, I don't do that with every customer,
You couldn't do it with every
right?
customer.
But
Right.
I'm proud of this relationship that every New Year's for the past 13 years, I've had a minimum of 15 containers on the streets of New York, and they paid for them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
a lot of times, John and I would get approached, oh, you'd be a great sponsor. This would be a great barter. And it's like, I'm not in the business to give away my business.
Yeah, but at the same time, that's great. But they paid for them, and they're sitting in New York City in the middle
Right
of
in
Times
New York
Square.
City. And they're thanking us.
Yeah, that's
You know, and I
Yeah.
don't...
It's two-way street. We thank them too. I mean, you took that relationship to other levels with
100%.
putting stuff in it. I mean, I might have started it, but he grew it into what
Yeah.
it is today. I mean, there's no
I
doubt. about
do
it.
remember the aha moment. And it was between year 5 and 6. And I turned to Stephanie, who was the project manager. And I said, let me ask you a question. We bring all these empty containers. How do they get loaded? She goes, well, it's funny you ask. But we bring tractor trailers into New York City, and we...
Why?
Do you have extra insurance for life insurance for your workers? And she's like, why? I said, wouldn't it be safer if we just loaded them out on Long Island? We could do that.
Well,
You're a fucking Times Square alignment.
you
You could do anything. We could do anything. With that, she said, listen, I'm going to need labor help. You know, when we're in the city, we're able to get labor. And I said, how's the Northport high school football team? I could grab 8 or 9 guys. And they're like, we need 6. Bring them down. So Dylan and his team, they did the first 2 years. They got paid $40. Got the big stupid hat, the big jumbo
They were
glasses.
happy.
And for the next 10 years, we've had Dylan did it twice. We had a soccer team, a cousin's team, a friend's team, an old girls team. My family has been doing it for the past 10 years.
I know, yeah.
It's gone up. They're up to $60 for the event. They still get the hat, they still get the glasses, and they still get the hot chocolate.
And it's still a
after.
bargain for them.
It's a
and-
bargain. The kids love it. You
And-
know, they get
and
out of school
Not only
early.
that, you know what they'd be paying their guys to do that in the
Oh,
middle of the
oh, yeah.
street and the truck and the
That's why they
vendors
love
sitting
us.
there.
That's why they love
You know what
us.
they'd be paying me if they called me? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it'd be a lot
Very
more than
true.
$60.
Very true.
Yeah.
You're right.
Let's see. Where's John in 5 years, and what role will you play at Pods? Will it be the same, or will it change?
I will be at Pods, God willing. It'll either be this role or wherever an opportunity takes you. The company's growing so much, you don't know what positions are going to open up. You don't know if Rich is going to retire. Maybe you go for the SVP position. I really don't. I'm very happy. I could be very happy doing what I'm doing until I retire.
Okay.
But if another opportunity represented itself and somebody came to me and said, hey, we think you'd be good for this, I would not object to looking at it.
So I had skipped over a question earlier, and I'm bringing it back in because of what you just said. So, you started out with just a couple of markets. How many markets you run now?
The whole Northeast. I've got
At least
I've got
35
about
markets?
60 warehouses probably
Wow.
Yeah.
under the belt.
Do you find it, I know as you get bigger and bigger and I know they just recently threw more at you, is it harder? Is it just more people on the call?
It's just more people on the call. It would be harder if I didn't have such good leadership out there doing it.
Right.
When you lose a good manager and you have to replace them, that's when it's like, and you got to devote your time there. And the guys who you have that can handle it step up and help you.
Right.
So I'm fortunate enough to have a really good seasoned team that can handle those. Where my job, the hard things are like things that happen that are not in your control, or if God forbid somebody gets into an accident. I mean, those are the things that keep me up at night. If a driver gets hurt
Right.
or driving and it's under my watch,
You guys are nonstop.
yeah,
we're nonstop, 6 days
that's
a
the
week.
type of thing that would destroy me. So, the biggest thing is getting you guys home safe every day.
I tell you what, those city services, those guys are there at 7:59 at the
On point.
On point.
On
They're
point.
not.
City service was my baby. I built that.
Yeah.
He built it.
Really?
That was my
It
idea.
was so new when I came to the company. It was so new. He asked me to help him go sell it.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe he could take some pictures so we can get some collateral.
Yeah, we didn't even have collateral. Nothing.
Didn't
We
have
didn't. We never.
nothing.
We still have not spent one advertising dollar on city service. It's spread throughout the company.
Wow.
How many markets are we in now?
I want to say it's something like.
6. I think it's 16 or 17.
Yeah, it's like 16. I wanted to say.
For all those who know what pods is, we drop the container off, you load it, we come back, we pick it up or move it. This is a wait while you load service for cities: New York City, Boston, Philadelphia, Chicago,
LA.
San Francisco, LA, where you're not allowed to put containers on the street. This is a 4-hour wait while you load. You book an appointment. And I always tell my clients, take the AM because you're guaranteed the time.
Yeah.
Because a guy said to me today, what's my PM appointment?
Mm-hmm.
I said 12 to 3. He goes, can we narrow it down? I'm like, no. He's like, why not? I said, because the morning guy, he has two jobs.
Yeah.
And the morning job could take an hour, it could take 3 hours. If it takes 3 hours, he's coming in between 12:30, somewhere around 2:30 in the afternoon. He goes, we can't narrow it down. I'm like, no, there's no narrowing down. But it put us in a position to do business where we had no business doing business.
Yeah.
First job was with Cliff Sneed.
Really?
He was the only. You got to realize I was pretty new at the time I came
Correct.
up with this. And I imagine telling a room of drivers, "Hey, we're going to start going into Manhattan and Queens."
Yeah.
They all look at me like, "This guy out of his mind, right?"
Another rookie.
So I'm like, "All right, well, look, I need a volunteer to do a city service job. This is how it's going to work." I explained it. The only guy who raised his
Cliff.
hand was Cliff.
Of course.
And him and I going over the 59th Street Bridge together. I'll never forget. He was like, "I can't believe we're doing it. We're gonna change the world doing this."
100%.
I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. This is a new one."
I'm not going to throw numbers out there, but to expand from one market to like 17 or 18 markets, and that's just the hub. It could be even more markets.
Just being able to service Manhattan,
I booked
It
two
was
IF.
big.
I booked. So someone called the corporate center this morning. I need to move into Manhattan. I got 2 different addresses. The guy went like this. You need to talk to Eddie. I can't do this.
Yeah.
So it was 2 different locations in another state, coming to New York City, 2 different locations, 2 different sizes, all on the same day.
Yeah.
And this is an hour-and-a-half conversation of pulling all the things together. Oh, and by the way, I have to get it there by the 22nd of June, which what you don't know about our system is you can't pinpoint a date until you actually book the order.
Right.
You can guess the estimated transportation time. So the smart guy that I am, if it says 3, I count 10 days.
Sure.
So I told them that we had to pick up that container by the 12th of June to make it happen. I gave myself 2 days leeway.
Mm-hmm.
Customer thought I was, spot on, but then he's like, "Oh, I'm worried about New York City." When I went into my routine about what we do, your drivers, how this is going to play out, he was like, "I thought this was going to be a lot harder." I'm like, "No, it's actually not that hard." He goes, "I don't need a permit.
Nope.
I don't need to reserve a spot." Well, it'd be nice if you
Be
did.
nice.
That's up to you. 'Cause
And you don't have to drive the truck.
Right. But the other thing is, he's like, "I don't understand. Where do they place the container?" I'm like, "Container never comes off my truck."
Right.
The aha moment.
This is the unload you were telling me about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I gave him your name. Absolutely. So I got one last question for you.
Sure.
You can have one more if you have one. Who's been your biggest business, whether pods, who was your biggest mentor, the person who influenced you the most?
Wow. That's a.
Yeah, I know. I saved the good one for the last.
that's a-
But
There's so many. There's so many people that touched my career and my life. It's hard to pin. I guess I'd have to say it start with my dad
there you go.
and my grandfather, both grandfathers. I came from a long line of salespeople.
Really?
Yeah. My grandfather, on my mother's side, was in appliances back in the Crazy Eddie days.
Crazy Eddie.
He sold to Crazy. Yeah. So he sold to him. He sold to all those guys when all the new stuff was coming out. The first computer, the microwave, the this.
Yeah.
That.
Did one of those get you the job at the Wiz?
No.
Okay.
No,
I was
that
just
was
curious. I
already.
saw the whiz on your resume.
Yeah, that was a great. I got stories about the Wiz. And my other grandfather owned his advertising company for as long as I could remember.
Really?
Did it all on his own. Him and my father worked together on that. It was all sales. So yeah, it would be those two guys. I mean,
Excellent.
yeah.
Excellent. So, this is our 10th episode. You're our 10th guest, and you're the first one from Pods. But all the people that we've had on are all people that I've been blessed to meet through Pods. I wouldn't have met any of these wonderful people if it wasn't for Pods. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for you. So the one last story that I have that John didn't tell me when I was applying for the job, after I interviewed with him, he said, okay, you have to go to Florida and interview with 5 other people.
Yeah.
A VP of this or that. 5 other people. You spent your entire 8 hours you were interviewing and then you flew home. What he didn't tell me was that his friend asked him for the position and John sent him off to Florida as well on the same day. We probably passed each other in the hallways, didn't even know it. And at the end of the day, I won out, which was cool, but I didn't even know that. Just like he said, yeah, my buddy was down there at the same time you were. I'm like, wow. I guess he didn't have faith in me. He goes, nah, we gotta do our due diligence, dot our I's, cross our T's, make sure one of his passes through the other 5. Because if one guy comes, he falls through, then what? You got egg on your face. But I got 2 guys there. So we're gonna do our thank yous. Do you have an announcement that you want to make about Magic Junk?
Oh yeah, well we are in our final month of Magic Junk, and we are turning into a whole new, brand new, way bigger, way more efficient company called the Pack Pros, and obviously I've moved from solely junk removal and cleaning to now doing so many of these packing loads with pods and being able to service so many of these customers. I'm like, I gotta go about my whole marketing differently now as well, because I'm doing more of this. The junk removals come with it, but I can advertise that when someone's moving out of a house, they got to fill a pod, they got to move. Obviously, only certain things are fitting in the pod. What are we doing with the rest of the stuff? I'm already here,
Right.
So we've expanded the business, and website's up, thepackpros.com.
Excellent.
Our Instagram, the Pack Pros, is up. We'll have all of our next week. We'll put up our logo and we'll do the media and stuff. But yeah, man, we're launched June 1st. We're in business. Man.
I'm really proud of you for rebranding yourself and making the business a better business, a smarter business.
Yeah, I had to, because you're giving me a lot of opportunities where, these requirements are bigger, than what I was doing before. So it's like, all right, you got to get some things in order. You got to up the insurance. You got to get up the workers' comp. You got to, all of these things. That way, the Pratts and whoever else comes in the future, we're not missing anything out of our COI. Yeah. And you can't go off of the gift of gab all the time. I've gotten into a lot of big jobs where they're like, oh, well, you're missing one requirement. So, but we'll let you in. I don't even want that. Listen, we've got everything you guys need. Let's do it.
I'm super proud of you.
Thank you, man.
You could do one last shout out to Magic Junk.
One last
shout out.
1 year in business, and who knows what the number is, but we did great. I mean,
that's why the problem, he doesn't know the number.
yeah.
And he should, as the owner of his company, he should know the number. It'll come.
Man, we started off on different things and platforms, and I can track it down, but we did great, man, and we made so many great connections. My phone rings all the time, just from referrals and past clients still calling. We've left a good stain in the universe with what we did, and we helped a lot of people. Which has allowed me to prove to other people that this is real and we could take it to the next level. So Magic Junk and Cleaning. To tell you what, though, the number is still the same for right now. It's 631-615-3853. TheMagicJunk.com will still be live until June 1st, and then everything will move over to thepackpros.com. So we'll start posting that stuff and getting you guys all updated.
Tell us about our YouTube channel.
YouTube channel, How to Become a Sales Warrior, episode 4 just came out yesterday with Chris Looney. You could just go to YouTube, type in Eddie Pods, How to Become a Sales Warrior. It'll come right up. You'll see episode 1 through 4 already out. Start at 1, get through 4. You'll hear all of the crazy stories, and you'll actually see how all of our guests line up and how there's a story even behind the book in how Eddie did everything with the guests, and you might have to write the second book.
Absolutely, absolutely. And for some of you, you may have seen the QR code up there.
Yes,
so
QR code's there.
please go to Amazon, buy the book, How to Become a Sales Warrior. Keep it in your car, because I kid you not, I read this book on the flight out to Vegas a couple months back, and it rejuvenated me to all the things that I need to do. It's a great checklist. Go to Amazon, buy the book, How to Become a Sales Warrior by Eddie Edelman. If you are interested in bringing me in for sales training, coaching, anything of that nature, you could reach me at Eddie@BecomeASalesWarrior. That's my email, or at the website, becomeasaleswarrior.com. You want to promote anything, John?
No, thank you for having me on the show.
It's been a great time.
I'm glad to finally meet you.
He's heard about you.
Between you, Jamil, and Chin. And
I've heard about you too.
Thank
Good
you,
stuff.
man.
Yeah, he actually saw your pods that were loaded at Pratt, how
Yeah.
you left that space in the front of all three of the
Yeah,
pods.
that's what they asked. I would have packed it differently, but they asked.
That's what
for
they
that.
wanted.
Yeah, well, that's
And,
how you got to do it.
That's how you got to do it.
Yep.
Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. Please go to YouTube, subscribe, leave your review, tell us what you like, what you don't like, and go buy the book. We're out. Have a great day, everybody.
All right.